So I've seen a lot of debate on whether or not the beginner's guide is real. Hello. Most of what I've seen determines it isn't, but I truly think it is. Or maybe I just want it to be. Maybe I need it to be. And now, explain that cruel irony. I truly believe that the beginner's guide is something that Davey went through / did to someone because of that last monologue. In it, he makes a last-ditch effort to plead for forgiveness from Coda. He hasn't heard from him in months, and he says this is the only way he can think of reaching him, so that whole meddling thing is justified. Changing his games and whatever. I know I have literally done this. I have been driven to the end of a desperate road, trying desperately to reach someone who has cut me off completely for something stupid that I've done. And I can't fix it. Never. Can never fix it. It's happened a lot. Then it starts to get more self-reflecting as Davey realizes he has been projecting his own issues on Coda's games. He begins to realize that his own self-hatred and desperation led him to betray someone that he not only admires, but considers a friend. But I wonder just how good friends Coda and Davey were, because I've been there too. To beat a dead horse, I moved to Chicago a few years ago with the sole intention of impressing a semi-famous theater group. They were people that I looked up to, idolized, and all I wanted to do was be around them 24/7. I needed them to approve of me. To tell me that I was a great, talented person who they wanted to hang out with, who they thought was a good person. Needless to say, that never happened. I pushed too hard. I held them so high on a pedestal that I didn't think that I could talk to them without liquid courage. A lot of liquid courage. And with that in my mind, when I got that liquid courage, I was absolutely convinced that they liked me. I mean, they talked to me. That's clearly a good sign, right? I went to every single show they did, showering them with praise. They had to love that, right? The answer, of course, is no. They did not see my adoration as a good thing. Probably because it always came out of a trashed, raving lunatic. When I realized, looking back on that experience and the interactions I had with certain people, I could have actually had a relationship with some of them had I been a sane person. But I'm not. I'm me. So did Davey make up this relationship in his head, or was he actually friends with Coda? Or was he actually just spamming a game designer that he idolized? Well, I mean, Coda did send him games, and that's something. However, at the end of the story, it seems to me that everything Davey analyzed and assumed about Coda was actually him. Coda designed the games to help Davey have a self-realization towards the end. But of course, Davey believed Coda is the one with the issues. Coda even says, and this is paraphrasing, I started to design certain games for you subconsciously. When Davey finally realized what has actually been happening, he completely breaks down and lays it all out to the world and Coda himself. He's the monster. He hates himself. Coda's games helped him forget about that and gave him a sense of purpose. And since obviously Davey is such a shitty human being, he could never make something like Coda's work. Not from scratch, anyway. He built himself up by passing on someone else's work, absorbing the praise that Coda clearly didn't want. It made him feel worthwhile and competent, loved. I am constantly making videos and posts with certain people, mostly men, names attached to it. I used to think it was because I was trying to reach out to those people to praise and love them and have them love me back, but I've only started to realize that I slapped their name on it because people know who they are. People love them, and by dropping their names, people watch my stuff, because let's face it, my stuff is never that good. I am not talented or smart, but I can damn well chase after people who are. And maybe I can date or marry one of those people and be adored by association. I mean, why wouldn't Coda want that? What could possibly have been bad from having people love you, your work, you? What kind of person just makes things to make them, no one else to see? What's the point? Who does that? The answer is someone who is whole inside. A sane person, a normal person. person who can validate themselves on their own accord without any outside approval. Both Davey and I would give anything to have that. Davey probably does now. Anyway, so this is exactly from the game. It's the last bit of dialogue. I want whatever it is that you were summoned out of nothing and put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. I want to know how to be a good person. I want to how not to hate myself, please. I'm fading, and I want to know that all I want to know is that I'm going to be okay. Now, like I said, I believe the game depicts actual events and people. Maybe we change specifics, but underlying truth. Because I know what it feels like, and I understand it. But mostly because of what happened after the game. After the situation of the game. From my perspective, when Coda cuts Davey off, he's forced to live with himself. And he leaves us at the end of the game, saying that he has a lot of work to do. I believe that after these events transpired, he actually worked on himself and his work, and produced the Stanley Parable, which, as you all may or may not know, gave him the success and adoration he so desperately craved. And I'd like to believe that because Davey got his happy ending, then I can too. Which, obviously, in and of itself, is crazy. But I'm not crazy. Am I?